work checks out, paperwork, you just have headaches. It's completely normal. A lot of people have headaches. Here's some pain pills. Come back if you need more.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, they're the doctor, so they know best. I'm just a civilian. I rode X Games that year, another dream come true. And then March of 2010, I'm training, trying a new trick for the first time. I fall and I hit my head. And now an MRI was required to make sure the brain are bleeding.
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget that moment. The doctor walks in and I'm sitting there by myself. I'm 13 hours away from my family. I'm, just doing my thing. And I'm like, all right, just get a checkup on a concussion. And he walks in and he's like, we got your report. There's no swelling, no bleeding. So, that checks out, but there's something in your brain that shouldn't be there. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what could possibly be in my brain? I didn't put anything in there. What's in there?
Yeah.
And he goes on to say, it's a large mass. We don't know if it's benign or cancerous. And right then my heart sunk. And I was like, what? And he kept going about, so you'll probably never ride your bike again. If you want a shot at living, you have to have this taken out immediately. And it's going to take you a while, if you survive, to get back to doing normal day things. And then right there, everything just shut down. Because I just heard cancer, death, never going to ride your bike again.
Yeah.
And him and the nurses were chatting. And I just, in one ear out the other, I was like, I was watching my own horror movie, and I just ran out. And, I was presented with an immense amount of fear for the first time in my life that I thought I was going to die. And I saw, the victim card was played. I was like, why me? Am I a bad person? What did I do to deserve this? And, there on after, things changed. And I was like 2 weeks later, I went to Duke University to have surgery performed by Dr. Alan Friedman.
Uh-huh.
And through that time period, there was 3 components that I think helped me shift my perspective to gratitude, to being alive still and having the opportunity to change the outcome of my life. And that was, 1, my mom battling colon cancer for many years before and being, healthy and happy today. Lance Armstrong's story, another cyclist in my mind going through what I thought was worse than what I was going through. And he came back to, doing his thing. And so that was motivating. But then the BMX community worldwide, whether they had met me or not, they just heard my story, reached out to share their, love and support. And those 3 things really shifted my perspective from fear to gratitude, to still have a life and have a shot at living. And I just focused 100% on my vision and that I wasn't going to let this beat me. And I think that's what really helped me get over that hurdle with, I call it survivorship rather than living in victimville. And that was the first event that took place. And it was all because I crashed and hit my head. Otherwise, I'd be dead.
Yeah, and what a powerful statement when you said you're 13 hours away from home. So when you heard the news the first time, you were alone. You didn't have a support mechanism there. Nobody. The doctor just unloaded on you.
Oh yeah. I had no friends. My friends were at work. Or at the house, whatever they were doing. I was just, by myself, just chilling, just waiting on the concussion report.
Wow. That's incredible. So,
and what's insane is the skull only requires 4 weeks to fuse back together. So I was back on my bike in 5 weeks. I think that's really, really profound.
That is profound. So talk to us about the surgery and the process of going through that and the emotions. I know you touched on some of that, the victim card. What changed it for you getting out of the victim mentality?
So, transitioning to, gratitude and, I guess how to do it, like confidence that I'd be okay and that the surgery would work was, the 3 components, like I said, my mom, Lance Armstrong, and the BMX community. And going into surgery, it's still, this is crazy. It's my first surgery I've ever had in my life, by the way. Like that was, I jumped right into the deep end with brain surgery. And it was supposed to be 4 hours, and it took 6 because once they got in there, they realized the tumor was wrapped around in the artery, my optic nerve. And so they couldn't risk hitting either of them because I could have a stroke, I could become paralyzed, bleed out, instantly die, and the list goes on. But woke up after surgery, and even after the pain medications wore off from surgery, it was the first time in about a year or 2 that I wasn't in pain. And I could see, I could move, I could hear, I could feel things, like all my senses were there. And it was just like the best day of my life. It was like, people talk about being reborn. Uh-huh. That was it for me. And, like I said, I was riding 5 weeks later. I think like 2-3 months after that, I was back in England competing and just back to doing my thing and just a new appreciation for life.
Yeah. Now, continue the story, because I know it's not a smooth road after that, right?
Yeah, so let's see. It was September of 2012. So about a little over 2 years later, a routine MRI showed two new masses had grown back on the same side of the brain, one in the front, one in the rear. And the surgeon, Dr. Friedman, told me it was just because of the residual cell growth, because if they had got all the cells, they could have risked hitting the artery of the optic nerve. And so he said, not to worry, it's not worth the risk of surgery again, because obviously the same outcome would be there. But let's look into radiation. And that freaked me out. My mom went through it and I just didn't like it. So I did some research and found a technology called gamma knife radio wave treatment. Success rates were high, non-invasive. People get back to work the next day. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so I went to Tufts Medical Center in Boston because my family wanted me up there for this. This is now the second time going through this. So I was like, yeah, I'll help with, friends and family. Tufts Medical Center is a top-notch facility, and went through the procedure, which is just basically like an MRI without the noise. So it's more pleasant and you don't feel anything. You don't hear anything. You just, it does its thing, and drove 13 hours back to North Carolina right after my appointment. For 4 years, the two tumors shrunk. They've now become stabilized. So it's huge. I was back riding a couple of days later. They just want to make sure I didn't have any symptoms, which I didn't. And so I'm, very passionate, obviously, about medical imaging. Because had I got one when I originally asked for it, the tumor wouldn't have been as large, and possibly could have had gamma knife without the surgery, and all the toxins from the surgery. So I really love sharing about gamma knife because I've helped so many people find that technology and have success with it. And I think it needs to be out there more, because I had to look for it for like a couple hours, so that was the second time.
Yeah.
So second time. And then, back to doing my thing, traveling the world, riding, competing, doing really well, loving life, learning about nutrition and mindset and fitness and how the whole holistic health piece comes together. And I'm just continuing to grow and to share and to help people. And then February of 2017, I get diagnosed a third time with two new tumors on the opposite side of my brain, leaving me with 4 today. And I actually have my 2-year follow-up MRI in 2 weeks when I get home from a trip I'm leaving for tomorrow. And the third diagnosis is what led me to following the ketogenic diet and lifestyle, because I've been learning about it for a little while now. But then that third diagnosis was really that motivation to implement it and learn more about it. And then the first follow-up MRI after, a year later, no progression of the 2 new tumors. The other 2 were still stable, and there was no surgeries, no medications, no treatments at all. It was just me changing some key components in my life. And that's why I've become very passionate about sharing with the ketogenic diet. But then also I've created, this is starting my second year of a ketogenic health coaching business, helping people make changes in their lives so they can either drop weight. My friend, who's now, it was a client, but now a friend of mine, went from multiple daily seizures with no drugs, no surgeries. It didn't help at all for 2 years. A couple months on a ketogenic diet, seizure free now within a month or 2. Wow. It's insane. And so that's just become a passion of my life now, but I never fathomed. But also I've created a business out of it to where I feel 100% fulfilled helping people and using my story as the vehicle to do so. And it's just, I believe you have a choice when things happen, and you can look at it one way or the other. You can go to Victimville, or you can go, how do I use this to help me and help others? And that's exactly what the third diagnosis taught me.
What's interesting is the byproducts of your original business and what you were doing in life through some trauma, going through the surgeries, and then creating a byproduct of all that. And that's what you are today. I know you're doing some life coaching. You're helping people with their own diets and helping them to be healthier and get past their own physical challenges. It's just incredible where you've taken what most people would look at as a final straw. I'm going to crawl up in a ball in my house and feel sorry for myself. You've turned it into a positive, not only for yourself, but for so many other people.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And that's definitely something that I learned, years after sharing my story. It started to kind of present itself more clearly to me. And that third diagnosis is what made everything click. And yeah, it's so interesting how, had I not followed my passion with BMX, I may have not found the brain tumor and may have not be here today. But it's also led me to doing what I'm doing today. Like you said, created another business for myself, doing something I completely love and I'm fulfilled with. But also now I'm speaking and I'm working on writing a book or multiple books. And it's just had I not followed my passion when I was 17, which, by the way, I was faced with an ultimatum with a good job I had, I was going to school, a technical school for landscaping, and working. Every 2 weeks I go to work, and every 2 weeks I go back to school. And I guess to the point where I was traveling so much, my boss gave me an ultimatum between him and BMX. And I dropped out of high school, quit working for him, moved to Greenville, North Carolina to pursue BMX, and then now I'm here. And obviously, education's huge to me now. But it's just, had I not made that choice, how did Jim Carrey word it? It was something like, choosing fear out of practicality. Had I chosen fear out of practicality, I don't know if I'd be doing half the things I'm doing today, let alone impacting the lives I've had. And it's amazing to reflect on it.
Yeah. How did your parents feel when you made that decision to pursue BMX as opposed to your landscaping job in school?
So my mom actually signed me out, and my dad was semi-supportive, more so supportive than not. But it wasn't until 4 or 5 years ago he stopped telling me to have a plan B. He always said, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. We're proud, we love you. You're doing amazing things. You're seeing the world. It's great. But, just have a backup plan because this is going to last forever.
Yeah.
I always said, yeah, it's okay. Whatever. I'll go work when I'm done. And now, he stopped telling me a few years ago to do that. He's like, you got it. You sort things out. You got a good level head. You're smart and things seem to work out. So just keep doing what you're doing. And then, now I'm, making more money than when I was riding, and I'm doing something I completely love. And so, I'm grateful to have supportive parents because it made it that much easier to pursue my dreams. And I don't think everyone has that luxury. And so I try to be that support system for people that don't have that luxury of a supportive family, just because I think that's everything, is to have that support system, because you can't do things on your own.
Yeah, but I've also found that you'll find support when and where you most need it. And you're right, it doesn't always come from the home. Sometimes it might come from a friend, an old boss, a current boss. But I find if you're open to it, if you're seeking and you're open to receiving, you'll find that support mechanism. And I think too many people close that off, at least what I've seen in the world, that I work in. Yeah, no,
100%. I mean, basic law of attraction is just that. Like, you need to be, I believe, you add to it, you need to be grateful for what you have now, but then, like you said, open to receiving. And it can be fill in the blank of anything. And so once you're open to receiving that, you're auto-suggesting to your subconscious that it's going to look out for more of that. So, you can look at things negatively or positively, but ultimately whatever you choose is what you're going to see more of and attract more of it to your life. So 100%, like if you're looking for support, just be open to receiving it, but also, don't feel embarrassed, like I think that's a huge issue that I went through and that I try to be transparent about is like, I felt embarrassed at the beginning to ask for help. And I still go through issues asking for things, but I know if I want to get to where I want to go, I need to have, a team of support. And that's also why I try to be on the other end of supporting other people. And so, like you said, just to be open to it, open to anything in life that you desire.
What's it like waking up in the morning to be you? I mean, when I look at your story and I hear you talk, you must get out of bed and go, you know what? I survived some crazy stuff. I can take on the world today. Do you have tough days? Are your days are they always easier now because of what you've gone through? What's it like to be you in the morning?
Yeah. So I love how Tony Robbins words it, like priming, like you prime yourself for the day. And so every day, this last couple of months, I've been developing a morning routine where the first things I do is I do a breathing exercise, and then I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and just whatever comes to mind. And then I do some affirmations and some meditation. It just like sets me up for the day. Nothing long, a couple of 5-10 minutes here and there. But that really helps. And now that's the facade of social media that people think every day is perfect for everyone. And that's not the case. I'm human. I have days where I feel depressed or stressed or worried or this or that. And, I should also note my little brother passed away this past June, and that really hurt me mentally and physically. And, so there's days where I think, why am I doing any of this? My little brother is not here. We were 3.5 years apart. He just turned 26 a week prior, actually. And I was like, he's not here. So what, I just went through this thing of like, nothing matters. This doesn't matter because like, my little brother's not here anymore. But then that same thought transferred over and it's like, he's not here. Other people don't wake up. I'm doing this for those who did wake up and want to better their lives because I'm here when I could be dead. There's multiple times in my life, not just the 3 different brain tumor diagnoses, leaving me with 4 today. Yeah. There's been other times where I flatlined at the bottom of a contest course because I got knocked out so bad that my heart stopped beating. That was non-health related. That was an accident. There's other situations too, but the fact that I woke up, I'm winning. Whoever's listening to this woke up, they're winning.